So I'm often asked, well, how did I get into this and why did I get into organizational development? And it really started 20 years ago. And it started when I got my first 360 review. Anybody ever have 360 review? Do you find them fun? They can be a little tough, but they're very, very valuable. And I took the approach that they're very, very valuable. My first 360 review was coming off my first year as a manager. I was your, what they say, high-performing sales professional. My territory did very well, and I had a person above me that says, you're so good at this, you'll be a great manager, a great leader. Yeah, absolutely. That's simple. You guys don't do anything. I want that role. So I became a manager, and I realized there's a lot of responsibility with it. And I got my first 360 review, and universally, every employee that reported to me hated me. And that really hurt, because as a leader and a manager, I felt I was giving my all, giving them the advice and guidance they needed to become the best at what they do. But what I realized through my 360 is I needed a lot of assistance. I heard comments from different people. You want everyone to do the job the way you do it. You don't listen to feedback. You fly off the handle. Okay? You get angry if we're not hitting our numbers. We don't feel comfortable coming to speak to you. And you know what? They were right. And that's when I devoted myself to learning everything I could about EQ and about leadership and management. This is an ongoing journey. Every day I learn a little more from different experts around the world, from my clients, from our employees. But this is something that you continue to grow throughout your life. It's a very, very powerful subject, and I'm going to give you some things as we move forward here that hopefully will dramatically impact you in your life. EQ affects your personal development and your professional development. Does anybody in this room ever get in a bad mood? Yeah? No, never. Now I'm going to ask you why. And generally the why is that, well, it's based on your biases. This shouldn't be this way because this is the way I feel. You shouldn't talk to me like that because I wouldn't talk to you like that. I have the right idea about doing something and I don't like your idea. So what's the benefit of being in a bad mood? No one's ever been able to name one benefit because there aren't. A bad mood impacts you, okay? It impacts you in a very, very bad way. The easiest way to explain this to you, when you're in a bad mood, okay, and especially immediately, within a few nanoseconds of that switch in your brain going off, oxygen's choked off to your prefrontal cortex, and you can't think clearly, okay? A good example of this happening is, you ever gotten an email from someone and you write back, and they got you mad and you send it and you go, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Sort of similar to some of that social media stuff. If people would have thought before they clicked, they might have sent that. They might have not sent that or not clicked. You're under what we call an amygdala hijack at that point. And an amygdala hijack is your amygdala, first part of our brains that ever developed, was there to protect you. Fight or flight syndrome. Okay? Learning about EQ will help you control your amygdala. It's there to protect you, but it can be very, very bad, okay, when you are under an amygdala hijack. We're going to show you some things or talk about some things so you don't have those times in your life when you get really mad, really upset, because nothing good comes from that. Think about as a leader or manager when you're under amygdala hijack. How do you think your employees feel? It's not good, I can tell you what. It can take a few seconds to destroy all the credibility you've established and trust with that employee on an amygdala hijack moment. That's all it takes. Everything you've done is gone, okay? Trust is hard to establish and easy to lose. So once we do that, what happens? We now begin to draw a negative bias about you as a person, your ability as a leader. The brain's a funny and unique place. Now that we've developed this negative, we're constantly looking for other negatives to support our dominant thought process. They don't see the positive in many cases. They continue to look for, yep, I knew it, that's the way you are. Yep, you're not a good person, you're not a good leader. So you gotta get yourself in a position where you're able to control that, where those bad things that people are looking for, or maybe not recognized yet, never occur, okay? So we're gonna start this in a second. I wanna give you one little thing, or two little things. So employees want, as leaders and managers, three things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Remember those three things. Autonomy, leave me alone to do my job. Mastery, teach me to be an expert so you can leave me alone. And purpose. Purpose is the most important of the three. And this is where most organizations fail to do an effective job. Purpose is all about, what difference do I make? For my coworkers, for my family, for my community, for our business. Without purpose, we are lost. At work, how many of you feel you've done a very good job at identifying each employee's purpose? Most of us can improve. I can always improve. Everybody can improve. Purpose is something you have to continue talking about and have discussions about. I heard a good story this week, and I was in Georgia at a conference, and a lady got up and spoke, and her grandfather worked at NASA when we were trying to put a man on the moon. And she says, my grandfather shared something with me that he witnessed, and John F. Kennedy talked about this or quoted it in one of his books. He was walking through the halls of NASA, and there was a gentleman mopping the floors. And he stopped, and he said to the gentleman, what are you doing here? The gentleman didn't say, I'm mopping the floors. He says, I'm helping put a man on the moon. Think about it. Did he understand his purpose? Yeah, he was part of a big team. The little role that some people may think, he didn't look at it like that. He was playing a role, a huge purpose for the overall mission. How many of your employees would answer it similar to that? What's your role here? Oh, I'm data entry. No, it's way bigger than that. But it's up to you and leaders as managers to help people understand that. All right. So social and emotional intelligence. Who has a great grasp of this? Anybody in the audience? Okay, good. But hopefully after you leave today, you can say, I'm starting to learn about it. There are really 26 distinct competencies under social and emotional intelligence. We can assess it. The tools are getting better each and every day for organizations to be able to measure employees' levels of emotional intelligence. There are roughly 26 competencies, and this is the easiest part, and we're going to go into it. There are 4 quadrants, okay? The 4 quadrants are self-management, self-awareness, empathy, and social skills. Under each of those, the 26 competencies fall. We're going to give you stats around the health and wellness and the ROI for the business when you have a high level of social and emotional intelligence. I can tell you the employees around the world where their organizations have invested heavily in the development of social and emotional intelligence, there is definitely strong data behind reduced sickness, stress-related things, and the employees who work there absolutely love it. If you look at Gallup's polls, and one of the top reasons employees leave organizations is they didn't feel they were growing and developing their mind. Employees involved with this absolutely love it because it makes a big impact on their career professionally, but also personally. Anybody ever work for this guy? That was me. Okay? I thought I was just doing it to make you better, but it's not how it came across. I think everybody can relate to Tom the Tyrant at some point in their career. How about Bob the Bully? Okay? This also relates to behavioral wiring of people. What are their tendencies when they get stressed and frustrated? Bob the Bully, the majority of these people, these names, I'm Tina the Time Bomb, they're not doing this maliciously. It's not that I just want to make you feel horrible. They feel this is the best way to get the results they're looking for. There are a few people out there that aren't really nice in general, but most people think this is the way to get to the end result. And it's not, for the reasons we talked about earlier. So how do you fix this? Obviously, the assessments are a good way to understand where are we and what do we need to develop. The training programs, individual development programs, and introducing this concept to the culture of your business. The great news is, years ago, this is the soft, squishy stuff. We don't need to invest in this. Just do your job. Okay? And the old guard would never think about using this. But now there's too much research, too much data. Companies are very open to this because they understand the power of developing this. So, what's more important for your career, IQ or EQ? Pretty easy answer. Who wants to guess? EQ. Book after book, research after research. It's now down to the point where they've got a good idea of how it breaks down. The experts who research this day in and day out through the study of companies and people and so forth, about 20% of the most successful people in business, most satisfying personal lives as well, 20% of their success is related to their IQ. 80% is related to the development of their EQ. Now, there is one caveat. The higher you go up in an organization, the numbers change a little bit. So let's just use C-suite as an example. It's about a 30-70 ratio, still related to emotional intelligence. 30% is IQ. And I'll give you some easy ways to think about this. Have you ever met somebody who has an IQ off the chart? They may have went to Harvard, MIT, Cal, wherever it may be, but they have no social skills whatsoever. They're an expert at everything in their mind. There's some great research related to people who went to some of these schools, and they measured them through their lives, and this actually started in the 50s. What happened? Why did some make it and some didn't? Well, the ones that made it were able to speak with people who maybe didn't have the same level of IQ as them. They listened. They were able to explain their ideas in a way that somebody without as high of an IQ could understand them, could take it, could feel inspired to do a great job. The ones who weren't, who didn't have a lot of EQ development, they got frustrated real quickly with people who weren't as smart as them. They wouldn't even talk to deal with you inferior, or deal with your inferiors. Okay? Think about the best doctors you've ever interacted with. Boy, they have high EQ, we've measured it. They have that bedside manner where this person really cares about me, versus the one that comes in and just doesn't even see you. Okay, low IQ, and we rate just nurses and doctors, I'm using that as an example, the ones that have the highest ratings have EQ through the chart. We know the docs and many of the nurses have an IQ, probably all of them, but their EQ is through the chart. And the ones that score the lowest, low EQ, high IQ, okay? I'll let you read this. I'm a show of hands. Raise your hand if you think you're really good at this. Come on, there's got to be someone here. Put your hand down. No, it's my partner. I'm joking. He's good. You have a good idea? You feel you're pretty strong here? That's great. Somewhat, yeah. Most of the people in this room, I would say, have a pretty good idea of how to do this, or you wouldn't be sitting here. But we all have a huge opportunity to improve every day. All right? The key is you keep going, keep learning, keep learning. So here are the quadrants. Now, I used empathy and social skills. You can see where they go, but these are the 4 areas, okay? Oh, sorry. That slide's not going to work here, is it? Yeah, okay. So really, the outer ring is where we want to focus on our environment. and it's our behavior, be able to recognize it and control it as we move forward. I have, this is no joke, 2 notebooks this thick with processes and techniques to bring your EQ up as high as you want to get it. And every day they're coming out with new ways to work and develop these things. Here's the real important point. IQ stops at what age? 17, 18? That's pretty much where it is. EQ can be developed through your life. Okay? EQ can be developed through your life. If our success was just related to IQ, I'd probably be pumping gas. Okay? At an early age, my grandfather started to help me with this. Even though I didn't master it, I knew there were certain things such as initiative and bias for action, resilience, being able to overcome setbacks. Okay? Lots of different quadrants that helped me, first of all, get to college, get through college, and have a drive to achieve. Okay? So, what does the evidence say? I'll let you read these. Both sides are really important. It's a way to judge where are you maybe right now. But the evidence behind that is very, very strong. Here are some of the companies, just grabbed a few, that invest heavily in this. I was with a Navy SEAL commander this weekend. He commanded SEAL Team 6 all during the Iran-Iraq War. One of the most amazing people I've ever met. It was this leadership conference. He says, you have no idea how much time we spent developing our emotional intelligence. Think of the importance of that. It was constantly working on our minds, not to break, to stay level, even keel, be able to understand how to bring ourselves back to where we need to be. Huge investment by the U.S. Navy in this. So here's the business case. Employee engagement. Okay, it's one of the reasons I love and our employees love our company. You saw when we started, we're the human capital company. Every focus area of our business relates to employee engagement. From the area I'm talking about, organizational development, to the benefit side of our business, which is massive for the attraction, retention, and engagement levels of your business, to our HR programs. We have a 99%, I think it's right about there, client retention rate. Not too many businesses can say that because we focus specifically on all the areas that impact employee engagement. Employee engagement impacts every major lever in your business. Latest Gallup research, okay? Out of 10 employees, 3 are actively engaged. Actively engaged is defined as, oh my gosh, I love this. It's my passion, it's my purpose. I don't even see the clock, I just keep going. I just can't, I love to be here, I'll wear the logo wear all day. I'll volunteer ideas. I feel safe. I feel like I'm valued. Another 4 out of the 10 employees, it's okay. Some value, I get paid pretty well. But if something else came along, I may listen. I may give you some thoughts in my head or I may not. Depends how I feel that day. 3 out of 10 employees, the last group of 3, are actively disengaged. I hate this place. I'm here for a check. I'm at the coffee cooler telling everybody how bad things are. Can't stand it here. Just need to find something to get out of here. Everyone else is bad. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm the smart one here. This is bad. They are the poisons. If you want to impact this number, emotional intelligence is one of the ways to go. So, bottom line, let's use Pepsi. Everybody knows Pepsi. Look at these numbers. Look at these numbers. Let you read that. How would you like to have those numbers in your business? That change. Okay? Look at Sanofi. Gary Chernice, great guy, but is that amazing? And you think, I don't know if I should invest in these employee development programs. These numbers are staggering to me. Okay, and these are companies who really understood the value of investing in emotional intelligence. Here are some other quick examples. A 24% increase helped market share. MetLife, these are major companies, okay, that have, invest a lot, but their biggest investments on employee development relates specifically to programs in social and emotional intelligence. Look at American Express. Pretty amazing, right? I think, what is this social emotional intelligence? Once you begin to understand the power of this, the investments, dollars that you do have, I believe you will be thinking about investing more in these types of programs. So, let's get a little more specific. It impacts turnover, absenteeism, performance, productivity, the climate at the workplace. You can tell companies that have a good culture or a good climate as soon as you walk in the door. You can feel it. There's an energy, there's a buzz, people are smiling. And conversely, when you walk into a company who's not strong in this area, you know it right away. Okay? Great. Quote. Top reason for losing customers. 70% are related to the lack of social and emotional intelligence. How do you think that correlates? Why would that be? Who wants to guess? That's one thing, right? Going out with a bad attitude, people can feel it. What about your ability to recognize the emotions of others across from you? Where they're at. Ask the right questions. Be able to control yourself when a customer says, I dealt with you guys in the past and you're horrible. Great, just know exactly where to go. Don't let it impact what their objective is. They recognize it, know they have to deal with it before turning red and, all right, I'm done. Sorry I bothered you. Okay? Top reasons for career derailment. And I was close to this. Look at that, insensitive or demanding. Being too harshly critical, that was my number one piece of feedback I got. Okay? Thankfully, my company believed in me and I had the desire to change. Not sharing information, plans, or credit. What do the best leaders do? Give credit to everyone else. What's one of the number one traits they have? Humility. Okay, it's the team. It's another great trait of a leader. Have courage, right? Be transparent. Show that you're flawed. Vulnerability-based traits. If you're weak, vulnerability-based trust. If you're weak in EQ, it's very hard to do any of those. Okay? How about rigidity? This is a very, very common trait. It's my way. I've done it before. This is what works best. My mind can't go where you're even going, and I'm just going to shut it down. We're going to do it my way. I'm not going to be flexible in thought. Who says you're right? It's just your way, right? Can you improve? Are you willing to take feedback from others? Can you be swayed? The thing I like to talk about with people is be willing to be swayed. Okay, be willing to be swayed, to look at things different. Okay, I can guarantee you, if you're willing to be swayed, you'll be a much happier person. You won't be as frustrated. Okay? The health and wellness case. This goes on and on every day. the people that have high levels of emotional intelligence, amazing things related to their health. Okay, think about your healthcare costs in your companies. Investment in this could positively impact that. So think about this. During the day, we can give you a number, but I'm not going to because it's astronomical. What percentage of your thoughts are negative? Anybody want to venture a guess at what the latest research says? Yeah.
2/3?
Pretty darn good. Yeesh. Those lawyers. Amazing. Roughly 70% are negative. Can you believe that? And when you're having negative thoughts, that's bad endorphins, bad everything that follows that. And it starts first thing in the morning. Look in the mirror. What's wrong? Look at this. What happened to the person? Oh, I got this coming up. Oh, geez, I did that. That's all very, very bad for you for achieving your greatest self. Okay? First things you learn in emotional intelligence, you have to love yourself. Okay? You have to love yourself. Very, very important. Don't compare yourself to other people. Learn from other people. Understand where you want to go, what you need to develop. But a positive mindset, read book after book after book, is one of the keys. Definitely. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So as you can see, there's so much to this. It can impact your life. I'll give you a little piece of information. The book is written by Dr. Richard Davidson. He's out of the University of Wisconsin. Dr. Keith Siegel, head of psychology at UCLA. And Daniel Goleman is considered to be the father of emotional intelligence. Have you heard about how we can reshape our brains? People say, what do you mean, grow your brain? Oh, absolutely. You can change the synapses and grow parts of your brains that are real important. And this is a real interesting research study they did. Whether you're a meditation fan or not, I'll just give you an abbreviation of people who wanted to develop empathy, and people who focus on that all day. Okay? Developing their levels of empathy. Well, for years, the people that I've mentioned have been going over to see the Dalai Lama. And they're devout fans of meditation because it's really impacted them in a great way. And for years they were asking the Dalai Lama, hey, let us study scientifically some of your monks to take a look at their brain and see the power of meditation. Does it do anything inside the brain? And the Dalai Lama said, not a chance. Because we know it works. We don't want science telling the world that it doesn't work. He finally agreed. Sent 3 or 4 of his monks over to the University of Wisconsin, mapped their brains, a lot of research. And here's the bottom line. Meditation, the monks that do it day in and day out, the part of the brain responsible for empathy is 1.5 times larger than people that don't meditate. So we can grow specific parts of our brain, change our synapses. And one of the easiest ways to do it is becoming more of an expert on social and emotional intelligence. Yes?
Does it have to be meditation?
No.
It can be really anything that allows you to simply do psychotherapy.
Absolutely. We can't get into it now, but it's knowing how to shut down your brain and the messages you give your brain, okay? There's a lot of research related to that. It obviously can impact resilience, initiative, and bias for action, self-confidence. The self-confidence exercises, many women have self-confidence as compared to men, no matter where they are in their life, for a lot of good reasons. From the way we advertise on TV, you got to be this to be a great woman, or the messages you hear in the world. The exercise we can provide to people with low self-confidence is immediately measurable. And the things that go along after that to continue to work on self-confidence, the changes in the people that go through this are dramatic. on how they feel about life, their contributions, and they learn some very, very important things, and I really don't want to get them down, but that's a great point. There's a lot of ways to do it separate from meditation. So let's talk about self-awareness. Do we really understand our strengths? What makes us unique? And that's the key in my mind in this area, is very, very few of us really know what our strengths are. We have ways to assess what they are, we can tell you, but understanding your strengths and putting yourself in a position to leverage those strengths is really important. We tend to be a deficit approach to society. Let's work on what you're weak on. Well, I have some very important news for you. Most of our weaknesses related to behavioral wiring are going to be our weaknesses. Learning how to round them off is important, but putting yourself in a position to focus on developing and harnessing your strengths is the key. I am never going to be a process system-oriented guy. Okay, data, facts. I'm more of an opinion and feeling, intuitive versus factual decision-making person. Leveraging and making my other one stronger, very important. I mean, I love doing it because it's core to who I am. Being aware of my other weaknesses, learning to keep my mouth shut in some areas I don't know anything about, and surrounding myself with people who are good in that area, extremely important, okay? Understand yourself, very, very important. I can't say that enough to you. Let's look at self-management. Here are some of the competencies under here. Okay, personal agility, that gets into that flexibility we were talking about. Optimism. How many people feel they're as optimistic as they can be at all times? Well, based on some of the things I told you about self-confidence, that's not too high. Achievement and drive, initiative, bias, and for action, innovation and creativity, behavioral self-control, integrity. When we measure those successful people around the world, they score off the chart in these areas. No matter, high IQ, low IQ, people that are doing best in life score off the chart. Look at others, and this is the empathy quadrant. So does everybody know the 3 levels of empathy? Anybody know them here? This is fun. Okay, this was not created by myself or DS-Benef. It's a gentleman named Olson. And Olson sort of recognized for being an expert in this area. There's 3 levels. Level 3 is very hard to get to. Level 1, I'm talking to you and I'm going to give you the opinion that anything you say is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. You're brilliant. You are amazing. I only want to give you that thought to figure out how to use it against you to benefit me. Sociopaths. Okay? Study them. Boy, believe me, they're there. Level 2, where we most are at all times, everybody in this room. Really interested in what you're saying. You can see I'm interested. But any advice or feedback I'm going to give you is based on what works for me and how I see the world. Okay? Works for me. I'm going to give you good advice. Level 3, this is where you want to get to, the hard part. I go back and forth all the time, and I do this all day. Very hard. Really care about you. Very interested in what you're saying. But any advice or feedback I give you is going to be based on how you see the world. Your background, your education, your experience, your behavioral wiring, where your strengths are. Think about it. How many times do you have friends in your personal life come back with the same issues over and over? And you give them great advice. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. This works, and they just don't get it. They cannot process, see it, and understand it the way you do because they're different. Understanding how to get there and trying to put yourself there is extremely important. Think about your kids. Same things. You just continue to, you got to think about those things I just said, or you're going to continue to have frustration. Look at relationship management. All these can be taught. You can learn this. No matter what your IQ is, you can learn this and take your personal performance, your life, everything to the next level. There are so many processes, steps, techniques to teach this to anyone, and then you will see an impact immediately. Albert Einstein, look at this, before we really knew any of this. Just read that. Pretty interesting on IQ, huh? One of the most brilliant minds of all time. It's just one of the tools that we need, basically. So here's the key, summing this part up. It's grounded in science for the people who are data fact-based. You have all the science and research. For the people who aren't data and fact-based, we have all the results we can show you. It's grounded in science, but it does start with awareness, understanding where you are, what needs to be developed the most. Best learned through coaching, reading books. I can give you a great book to start with. I know you're going to laugh, but it's Emotional Intelligence for Dummies. Those dummies books are great, okay? And it really, really can give you some great guidance and a foundation to start. You'll love reading it, and you'll go, oh my gosh, this is so easy. So here's an example of one assessment that can measure your levels of emotional intelligence and where you're rated, okay? Good or bad. I look at it as all good, it's understanding. And here are all the areas that we can measure. Okay. So, most interesting about this chart, typically people rate themselves very high. But when they're reviewed by others, yeah, I'm really good with all this. Boy, oh boy, is there some awareness. It's a 360 related to EQ. And this is very, very powerful. Okay? Generally, there's a disconnect, but that's good, that's okay. We can work on it. We just need to know where the disconnect is. And then to close this off, here's a real interesting exercise I take people through, and it's trying to identify your triggers that take you to a bad place. Very simple thing that people can fill out. Usually when I woke up this morning, I was feeling it's all negative. Okay? And lots of different things I see in there. And we go down and go down and go down, and then we can go to something like this. Okay? Just look at how easy this is. This is an example of something we'll take people through, that they fill out. You know, what was the damage done when they begin to realize it, and a better thought or a better response, whatever it may be, and how would you feel if that happened? Oh, good, that would have been awesome. All right, let's continue to work in this and get it done. Building your awareness, but knowing how to do it, giving you some process and steps, very, very powerful. All right, questions from anyone? I know this is like, woo. Yes, oh, sorry, yours in your hand. Yes, anybody, come on, I'll have to call on you. What did you get out of today so far? What did you learn right here in the gray? Yes.
Well, doing training on the eye,
Yeah.
all the time, and thinking about the levels of empathy,
Yeah.
and really engagement with how people feel. And I constantly, through coaching leaders, how do you make them feel, but still getting your point across? And that's and then training them how to integrate putting themselves in the shoes, how they feel. You got to construct your conversation about the way they feel. And that is difficult for somebody. That's where the rubber meets the road when you're talking about it. So just when you said that the 3 levels of empathy and being able to explain to somebody what are the levels and where they need to go and why it's important. And it's truly about how people feel.
Yes, feel is the key word.
Because I always tell them,
Wow, can you come to every one I do? This is good. Thank you.
I always say, like, I don't even care if you don't care, but you're going to act like you care, and I'm going to show you how to care.
Yes.
That's just the way I approach it.
Thank you for that. And I'm going to add something. You just reminded me of something because of the way you explained that. So one of the ways to position yourself to make sure you're starting the conversation, starting the interaction in the right way, people judge us on our pace, tone, and body language. The words are maybe 10% of the equation. So think about how important this is. If you have a significant other and they walk into a room, you know right away before they say anything, is this good or bad news? Think about it. I could tell by the steps and how heavy somebody's walking down the steps. I'm like, uh-oh, you know, that type of thing. Your employees and people you interact with right away, they're gonna, do I wanna fight here? Do I wanna fight? Do I gonna shut down? Whatever it may be, and you may be in the best mood, but they're reading your body language and your face. Remember, make sure you're showing the appropriate things from your pace, tone, and body language before you even start. Because right away that can set something negative. Yes, Dino?
Mike, I know you work with a lot of groups, but at a high level, how do you get like a sales team, a management team, customer service team, or those people manufacturing on the floor? How do you get them to perform at a higher level? What's kind of at a high level, what does that look like?
Well, it really depends on how they define a high level, the company and the organization. What I may think, it's really what are their objectives and goals, and then identifying what are some of the things preventing us from achieving those goals. It usually starts with leadership, the top leadership. And whenever I'm in a company that's needing that type of assistance, something up top is not congruent with what they're trying to achieve. Their actions, their programs, whatever it may be, usually it's their actions and the way they carry through things that impact employee engagement overall. And one of the things we obviously can be doing is there are multiple and various different types of assessments to understand the wiring of the group, where things are, engagement surveys. But the good news is from that point, we obviously have so many tools out there we can impact people in a positive way. And the nice thing is the investments by company, based on understanding what are we measuring, what are we trying to get to, we can measure the investment return on emotional intelligence, just like Pepsi and all the other ones. Other questions? Yes?
So it's interesting, I have kids, so you think about we're focused so much on IQ at this young age, and then all of a sudden they get their first job, you know, and it's not until you're in the management leadership space that you start really realizing that this emotional intelligence is so important. So if you're thinking about it from your company perspective, you've got leaders, you've got managers, you've got staff, at what point in their career do you start introducing some of this so that people can begin to learn maybe at a younger age?
Great question, great observation. The good news is many schools around the United States are starting in elementary schools with this right now. They're realizing this is so important for a variety of societal reasons. Building bonds, right? One of the big things they work with in schools, and how to control our emotions. So the generations following us are going to be so much better than we are at this. And I think when do you start it? As soon as you become aware of it. You know, if you're in a company, you realize employees are lacking this, it's real important that you make an investment into that employee. And it usually starts with self-awareness, because the biggest offenders, like myself years ago, don't agree. I wouldn't have agreed with you if you came to me and said, you're too hard on employees. I would have said, oh, that's the way you gotta be. You gotta work hard and get success. But when you have a group of people, give them some feedback anonymously through a 360, most people who care about their career and what they wanna do will go, hopefully like I did, I need some help. And when then, the cool thing about emotional intelligence, and it's the way adults are, the way we learn, the way we stick with things. If we see immediate impact, we're gonna stick with it. Just like a diet, oh, this is working real quick, I'm sticking with this new one. EQ allows you to see immediate impact. Oh my gosh, this works. This emotional mood drone or trigger, what are my triggers, and learn how to control it. I want more. They love this. Great question. Did that answer your question? Thank you. Yes?
What book would you recommend to spread the word with this message?
Well, there's so many good ones. One of the great, and sort of almost along the lines of Daniel Goleman, teaches at Case Western. His name is Dr. Richard Boyatzis. Boyatzis is a genius, okay? Anything you see with Boyatzis in it, or sign up for a program there, you know, for your own thing, or of course you can hire me, but I'm not here to do that. Boy, this is a lot better. Just brilliant. Anything written by Daniel Goleman. And Daniel has so many different books out there. But I highly recommend Boyatzis and some of the things they do. Anybody want the case? Yeah, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, yeah.
I use it a lot with a lot of people young in their careers. It's called 2.0, it's a workbook. It's not like heavy laden with like research and things, and it kind of gets down to the nitty gritty, but it's a self-reflection of what PI is, and it's a workbook. So you can kind of grasp on those pretty easy and make it a lot of it internal, like a self-reflection. That I found to be really easy for, like,
Thank you.
as an introduction.
Yeah. And again, I'll leave you with this, and I'm sorry, because he's getting nervous, we'll get off the stage. Matt, the key is that it never stops. I can guarantee you Boyatzis today and Daniel Goleman are working on their EQ in some way. And the cool thing is, unlike the IQ, we can get better, better, and better. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.